What it do, snackers, snackettes, and snack X's? It's your boy Gage. Jokes is in the building.
Yo,
Welcome, Joke.
yo, what
Sin is in
up?
the building. I can't hear you, Sin. I hope everything's all right. And as you all can see, we have a very special guest, our good friend Jeffery Lyles of Lyles Movie Files, Lyles Figure Files is in the building here with us to talk movies and figures and comics and wrestling and all kinds of things like that because that's what we do. What's going on, Jeff?
What's up, fellas? How y'all doing?
What's up? What's up?
Great. We're
Always
great. We're
happy to
great.
be on with y'all.
Excellent. You folks are now tuned into Loading Snacks Weekly, where we get together once a week and talk about things that are happening in pop culture. And today, Jokes,
Today?
What's up, Jamie?
obviously, today we have a special guest. We are going to talk a little bit about wrestling. We are going to look at this new Daredevil Born Again Demons teaser. We're going to
Okay.
take a look at the new Batman Ninja versus the Yakuza League trailer.
Okay.
Jamelin Parks, what it do?
What up, Jamie?
Yeah, and we're gonna and you know we're gonna talk a little about our weekend, little NXT, little Katsucon. You know what I mean? There are things brewing. But first,
Dig it.
Jokes, you got a job to do.
Yes, sir.
So Jokes will get our beacons link up for everybody. Everybody who is here hanging out with us, that link just links you to everywhere we are because boy, is it hard to only be in one place and consider yourself
True.
Facts.
something on social media, right?
True.
So all of the difference, the Instagrams and the we don't really do that, but this guy, the YouTube, the Twitch, the Kick, it's all there. Easiest way to find us and to follow us and see the shenanigans because there are plenty of those. Sin,
Yes, sir.
you have a job to do.
Yeah, so let's shout out our top tier patrons, starting with Anthony Cunningham, Marcus Houston, Susan Dortch, Tyrone Carson, Meticulous Skin, Alex Lee, Ellis Mbe, and Kermit Ferguson. Thank you very much. We truly, truly appreciate it.
Indeed, we do. And on that note, special birthday shout out to Anthony Cunningham today.
Hey.
Mm-hmm.
Happy
Susan
birthday.
Dortch, man, what's up? How are you? Oh,
What's
straight
up,
up.
and I was
Hey, just don't snap us away though. Like,
Oh, yeah, don't snap us
Yeah,
away.
don't do that.
snap
Don't do
us
that.
away.
Please don't snap us away. Jeff,
What's
let's dig into some things. Here's the thing, Jeff. Why don't we start here? How long have we known each other?
this is as long as I've known your sister.
Which is
Many decades, many less gray hairs
yeah,
ago.
many decades. Listen, it's not often that there are people who are on the show who I've known longer than I've known Sin. I have known each other for decades.
Yes.
So let's just say Jeff and I go back to elementary school.
Way back.
Super way back.
How far are we going back?
Yeah. What up, Heather? Yeah, we've known each other a very long time. What up, KB? Jeff, for a long time, I have known you as a movie critic, reviewer.
Mm-hmm.
So why don't we start there? You went to Howard, right?
Yes, sir.
And did you start reviewing so you were doing work for the Gazette, correct?
Yeah, so I started writing like in '88. Started getting creative with my papers, and my teachers were
Mhm.
like, "This is good." Not every
Mhm.
teacher's gonna like this, but I like it. So I was like, "Great,
Okay.
that's all I needed." And I was like, cool." So when I started at Howard, I was a business major and realized business included way too much math. I said, "Oh, let's find the backup button. Let's get out of here." And I went over to communications because I already like to write, and
Sure.
I started, talking to the editors at the Hilltop, and you're like, "Hey, you want to talk to this up and coming R&B group. There may not be anything. I said, sure, I'll talk to him. And
Okay.
Tokyo about his little group, Drew Hill, was like, oh,
Oh,
I talked to them. So that was pretty cool. And
okay.
so I started doing music reviews. And I'm like, I like this album. I like or CD. These
Mhm.
songs are good. And I was like, this isn't very good. What else can I talk about? Because I mean, everybody likes music, but I'm like, if you like a song, who cares? So I started like, oh, you got passes to new Star Wars. That's when they brought them back out for, I guess at that point it was the 20th anniversary, which seems so long ago. And I was like, yeah, I'll go. This was like take one of the remixes, and I'll change things up. And it was like, I don't like Luke screaming, but the rest of it I dug. And I was like, that was fun. So I just started writing as many movie reviews as I could from there. And then after right around the time of graduation, I was working for the Gazette, a community newspaper. And after working for a little while, got to start doing movie reviews. Was doing 2 a week, knocking those out with no problem. Paid a little bit extra too. So I was like, yes, I will do 2 every week until you tell me to stop. And then, the recession hit. They were like, stop. And by that point, I was like, well, you can't stop me now. I'm having too much fun.
On a roll.
Right. So I just decided I'll figure it out as I go along and created my own website. And really, when I look at it back in the day, I was like, whoo, you knew absolutely nothing. Just like, yeah, this is cool. Let's post this on there. Excuse me. And I just started writing up reviews, and that was all I did until the Red Wedding of Game of Thrones. And it got me so mad. I was like, I am over this show. So like, oh man, it was, I remember that vividly. I was over my cousin's, and it was because we were watching it over his house the first time, the first season. Spoilers for anyone who has not watched Game of Thrones. He was like, we're watching the very first episode because the whole season didn't come out by this point. And he was like, the main character dies. And I was like, so the whole season, I'm watching with the knowledge, what is he going to do to get some kills? It's like watching 24, the first season, knowing who the traitor is, which Fox also ruined. Because I was like, oh, this show is perfect. I'm going to love this. And long before we were calling it binge, and I was like, I'm going to marathon this. I'm going to record every episode and watch it. And then somewhere through, I forgot to record it, but the DVD was coming out. And all I watched Fox for at that point was just for NFL Sunday. And, they were maybe like 3 or 4 episodes into season 2, and they're like, Jack confronts the traitor of CT. I'm like, so I knew in season 1 who the traitor was. I knew what happened to my boy Ned, and I'm just like, this is pretty good. It would have been amazing if I didn't know what was going on. Anyway, so the Red Wedding, I was like, I can't believe this. I've been invested in this show. I was all set for the payback. The King of the North was going to take him, and now he is dead. And I was over it. And then I wrote this long review, and everybody was like, everybody on social media, my friends who saw it were like, no, you've got to stick with the show. It's amazing. So I was like, boy, and this review got so much traffic. I was like, well, I guess it looks like we're doing TV recaps now.
That's it.
And I was like, and I just got into everything. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Arrow, Flash, the whole Arrowverse. I didn't miss a show
All
until
in.
the quality.
After Crisis,
It's like you watched it.
Everything after Crisis.
Right? Because
Crisis was the top. Then they just said we forget the rest of it after that.
We're gone. Like that first half of Flash was some of the best episodes that series ever did. It was like, oh man, are they gonna kill Barry? Because I was like, y'all already said Oliver's dying, but they did it so great. I was like, oh man, they're gonna kill Barry too. It is Crisis. I guess they'll kill Kara too. Man, this is amazing. They're gonna wipe out the whole universe. And then it was like, y'all should have killed Barry. You should have killed Kara. Because everything afterwards was just awful. Except for Superman and Lois. That was like the shining light. And Stargirl. I really love those 2 shows post Crisis.
Yeah.
They had the least to do with Crisis and all the rest of them. So yeah, that was doing all the comic shows.
When you switched over, I guess, to TV. Well, I shouldn't say switch. You were doing both. You were still doing movies. You added TV to the plate,
Yep.
right? You're already, we're just gonna say, a pop culture geek. You're already like, you're collecting comics at this time too.
I that was the one that I didn't stop. So I was, when you get old and mature in college, oh, I don't collect toys. What are you talking about? No, I'm here. Nah. And
Look behind him now.
right,
Right,
the truth.
right.
Um, but it was wild because what got me back into it. I live close to home, so my grandma would like once a month take me back home so I could stay on the McDonald's payroll, so I keep getting paid. And
Fair.
I would get up super early because she worked nights, and she would come on her way home to get me.
Okay.
And the Fox had that Fantastic Four Iron Man hour. And the
Mm,
first seasons of both were real shaky, but the second seasons were really good. I was like, this is just like the comic book. And it just so happened at KB, and I would go, my buddies, we'd go to the mall, and I would just happen to go look in. I wasn't buying figures at that time,
yeah.
but KB, I said Target. KB had a buy 3 for $10 sale. I was like, that's a steal. I'll get all these Fantastic Four, all these Iron Man toys, and it was like, but the comic books I never got away from. I would go during that month visit. I'd go to Beetle Comics in Camp Spring and get and that's when I had the full. I was all in. Here's my box. Here's my month
Here's my
haul of
box.
comics. Yeah, and this was mid '90s, so I was getting all the foil embossed, gatefold, special hologram, prism, bag, you name it, gimmick. Had all of them.
You
I
stuck with it through the rough times.
I didn't really think of it as rough times because I didn't know anything better outside of classic X-Men. And I was like, this is the moment. So I was enjoying the
Yeah.
stuff for what it was. But going back and reading old issues, like, oh man, this is really good too. And it wasn't until I got more culture with my comic books, I was like, man, that 90s stuff was real dicey.
There was some real bad ones in there.
Yeah, lots of gimmicks, lots of, hey, you too can draw like Rob Liefeld. Why don't you be our new artist? And
A lot of that.
yeah, way too much.
Liefeld,
Hey,
Larson.
you can
guys
be
did.
Jim Lee as well.
Mhm.
So I stuck with comic books. I never got away from them.
Okay.
But DC Comics started off their Rebirth initiative, and
Okay.
I was getting disappointed with DC because they killed off Blue Beetle, and that was, I don't know if you can see my Kevin McGuire JLI poster in the background here, but I love that book. And I was like, why did y'all kill off Blue Beetle? And then they were doing some dumb stuff like Cry for Justice. And Cry for Justice was about to be my cry for, I'm out of here. Y'all need help. I'm not going to give it to you. And they did the new 52, and I read some of that. Some of it was really good. Some of it was like, well, y'all tried. And that's what you get. But the stuff that I liked was good. And then they started Rebirth. And then one of the cats over at DC reached out to me. Hey, would you like to review our comic books?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would.
Yeah.
These comic books are not, like most things. They weren't getting cheaper as time went on. I was like, absolutely.
Yeah.
So every week I was doing 8 or 9 DC comics. They're like, y'all are not going to take this away from me. I'm going to do every book.
And you ended up doing Image as well, right? You ended up doing Image. You ended up doing Image reviews as well, right?
Yeah. So I was doing them, Dark Horse, and the funny thing was I wasn't enjoying too much of Dark Horse. I was like, here's my one review a month. And Image was like, would you like to review stuff too? Absolutely. And then in DC, so I was like juggling these comics, and then DC helped out. We're gonna release our comics on Tuesday. Great. And so I had Tuesday, had Wednesday stuff to focus on, and DC has done like 10 different new initiatives since then. And I was upset because I really enjoyed what they were doing on Rebirth. Yeah, it was like, this is the sweet spot. We've changed all this stuff from the new 52. Now we're gonna guide it back into a more classic take, but it's still new for everybody who was enjoying New 52. You can hop on board now. And I thought they found the right balance. And when they decided we're going to have Wally West and Arsenal be responsible for everything at the sanctuary, I was like, okay, well, Heroes in Crisis, Heroes. Yeah, I was like,
David said, "Loved Image." Listen, I was definitely like, when Image first became a thing, when that mob left Marvel,
yeah,
Image became a thing.
Mm-hmm.
If it wasn't for the fact that they just, especially McFarlane, like they struggled so much, like getting books out on time, but I was there for everything they did. I loved it all, and so much of it was basically copycat stuff. But
Yeah.
here's the thing.
Wildcats and all that.
Yeah. Listen.
Cyber Force.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
was like-
I was getting all of them though.
right,
He's
right.
like, what? All of them, dog.
Yeah.
Everything, dog. There's
Quality
no
didn't
reason.
matter.
I would never have read a Savage Dragon book. I don't know. They were new. They were there, so I had them. Like it just,
Mhm.
and that's my thing, Jeff. Like before we started with the show, right? We talked a little bit about video games, right? And like
Yep.
kind of joked a little bit about like what that backlog is like, bro.
Ugh.
How do you find the time? You are doing movie reviews, comic reviews, toy reviews. Like, how bad is your backlog? And maybe that's what I should be asking you. Like, how bad is your like? I TV stuff has a little bit of a backlog. We talked about that, but like, look, real talk. Like, I do think that one of the things that happens to a lot of people that get into our age bracket that love stuff like this, that get up and go to work or raise the kids or do all that other kind of stuff, like they do struggle to find time to do a thing they love, especially when they're not getting something else out of it. Like how do you do it? How do you manage it all?
First off, I don't have kids. Kids, I think, are like your time is mine. So we don't have any kids. So it's like,
well, let me just say on that note, let me just, because as the only person who's in this panel who has kids,
Yes.
right.
let me just say that like you indoctrinate them. You just
He is the perfect example.
Yes, 100%.
Absolutely.
you just put toys and comics and video games and movies like in front of them, and you just like, here's the thing, your kids, and right now it's still okay for you to love them. I'm just gonna love them along with you. Like there's a sneak attack way to like kind of do it. But
Yes.
outside of that, right? Like what's a day-to-day like for you now?
So, oh geez. So like Tuesday will be my day to read my comics that the different companies have sent me. I'm not really engaged as much with DC because again, hey, here's our latest initiative. I'm like, okay, and I like some of the books they're putting out, but it's not. Oh man, I'm not reviewing 8 DC comic books a week. It might be 8 on one week and then 1 or 2 the next. So it really depends. I'm focusing on my time and love is now onto Image, ironically. And
okay.
And they're doing some really cool stuff. And I find most of my reading tied to the Skybound books, the Energon universe, the Ghost Machine. So anytime they got new releases, I'm like, and the guys over at Image are awesome. They send the stuff on Friday. So, all right, I've got 10 minutes. I'll read this. I'll write up the review. And it's, and I might get to that last one Tuesday or Wednesday afternoon, but it's just kind of spreading it out. It's not a thing like I got to do it all at once. It's just, and then the TV shows, I'm like, yeah, because I think what happened, especially when Netflix was a big player, and here's all 13 episodes of Daredevil season 2.
Mm-hmm.
Well, even if I get like the critic first 6 episodes, there's somebody at home. I am going to continue watching it, and then I'm behind, and it's like, well, and by the time I finish that review, they are looking for the next thing, and it's like, all right, well, I'll go at my pace, and it's not too terrible because I mean, people are reading my new reviews of What If and Penguin when I get to them. It's not, because I had to stop trying to keep up with that because it was like I'm not getting paid to do these reviews on time, and if people want to read it, they can read it whenever. Because there are probably people like me who are, I'll get to that show a year from now, and or they stumble onto it because somebody recommended, and then they'll get to it, and that's what I do with it. So it's it's whatever on that, and like I only have movies are like the thing that I try to stay current with. The comic books, the figure reviews, like the figure reviews are a terrible one. So here's this is next on deck. I have a few figures. These are the ones I'm getting to next, and everything else is in the corner.
In the back burner.
Yeah, it's like stuff comes through, and so it's a constant churn of things, but I don't really try to stress out like I've got to get this. Yeah, it's like because again, this is not my full-time job, and if it were, that whole thing would be totally different.
Yeah.
But if I'm getting, since I'm not getting paid, in the conventional sense of doing it, like the mortgage, the lights aren't getting paid from these reviews. So if they were, you would have the latest episode of your favorite show before it came out. Oh, I've got the Daredevil season 4 done. So
which makes sense. It's an interesting thing that I hadn't thought of, and I'll come back to that. I wanted Cuddy said Edie breaking down the Eshman and Sam video with indoctrination. You're absolutely right.
Mm-hmm.
She was indoctrinated, but she enjoyed it. It was by choice. That's what we talking about. Andrew was saying he noticed your Power Rangers collection. He said, what's your take on the state of Power Rangers right now?
So fair point. I watched Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, and that was during that dark time when there was like nothing else for a comic book superhero fan to watch. I was like, all right, well, I'll watch these shows. I know the fight scenes are kind of the kid acting is less, and I was like, whatever, I'm watching it. So big fan of the Mighty Morphin crew. Didn't really follow much else, but Ross and Ollie's had these Power Rangers on sale for like $5-7. I'm like, well, I guess I'm getting some Power Rangers.
Get them all of them.
Right. And I was like, well, since they're giving them away for free, and then of course, like most things, these figures are pretty cool. I'm just gonna keep buying them. And fortunately been able to get most of them on sale. And I like the figures. I think it's Bandai has the license again. No, Playmates has the license.
Playmates has I don't know. I don't know.
Now you're not happy with those jokes?
Hey, so
Jokes is a huge Power Rangers fan.
So I bought so when Star Trek: The Next Generation came out, like I had like all those figures, and those were Playmates, and they were cool. Yep. So when I think about the Power Rangers ones and possibly being similar to those, I'm like, okay, but when Bandai had the property and started doing like the Lightning collection stuff or the Legacy, the Legacy line?
Yeah.
All of that stuff was like top tier stuff that they did. Then when Bandai sold off to Hasbro shifted gears and went from having like all the nice die cast stuff to going back to the plastic stuff. And I'm just like, I don't need to give you the money for that now. I had all the plastic stuff. I want all the die cast metal stuff now. So. And now Playmates has them.
Stuff I ever had was all Ninja Turtles.
And I don't know what they're gonna do with it. And I don't get me wrong, Mighty Morphin it brings the money, it puts on the table, but I would like to see them finally venture into doing some of the other shows. Like I know Mighty Morphin is gonna get all that love, but eventually you spread your wings a little bit, and then I'll go back to buying stuff again.
That's always the thing when a new company takes over, because it's like the old one has been deep, and they may kind of revisit, hey, here's our latest update on the MMPR, but they're gonna keep plugging along and getting more of that new stuff. When another company comes through, all right, guys, here's our version of the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Like, I don't need these. I've already got my superior versions. Let me know when you get to
be honest. It's not that different from comic books when a new writer takes over and a new artist takes over and they start back over. This is a thing that they do to collectors. They do this to us. You know what I mean? Like as a collector, you jump in, you kind of get started, and then they do something like that where they're like, well, we're gonna shift. You know what I mean? Over here, I
Mhm.
saw who was that said that they couldn't get into Power Rangers because it was a Voltron wannabe.
That was David
Thanos.
Thanos.
Thanos. Hey, listen. Let me tell you something. I think I liked Power Rangers because I liked Saved by the Bell, and I was like, can you imagine if in Saved by the Bell they got to fight? And it wasn't just like Slater versus Zack in the hallway real quick. Like, can you
Rangers?
imagine? Can you imagine? Like, you know, and again, like, also, like, I love Voltron, but I knew. So they used to show Super Sentai, which is what Power Rangers came from. They used to show Super Sentai on like USA on the B side.
No, the B
So there was y'all
B
who old
side.
enough. On the B
He's just
side
out.
at like 2 a.m, right? And so like
After Up All Night.
I was watching those, wondering what in the world was going on before Power Rangers ever came out. And so as soon as Power Rangers came out, I recognized it's like, this is a different show. David said, I'm with you on Saved by the Bell. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. And I'm not going to try to pretend that like Kimberly wasn't a bop, because I wasn't really a big fan of Zach doing all the like.
This hip hop keto.
Hip hop keto. Let's go.
Ryan said Lisa would beat the trash out of everybody as a Power Rangers. I mean, I'm just saying.
Ryan?
Can you imagine if Lisa Turtle had a turtle? Like, she would have had her Zord would have been a turtle.
It was right there. It was right there.
A snapping turtle. You know what I'm saying? It would have been over. You know what I mean? They was there for us. So look, how far back does your? I mean, obviously you were collecting comics. So does your bug as a collector? Does it start with comics, or was there something else before then?
So, because of the hair would attest, I happened to get in right when Star Wars dropped, and so
wait, like Kenner figures, Star Wars?
Yeah. So, right there, I was like, yeah, yellow lightsaber Luke, yes. So I was all in, and my folks practice discipline, and they weren't. Yes, you can have everything. So it was like, there was stuff. Oh, I want that. You weren't getting all of it. And so right after Star Wars started to fade out, there was G.I. Joe. There's Masters of the Universe, Transformers. So it's the golden age of collecting. And again, my folks weren't, here's everything. Here's some, that was a decent amount. And it really helped to have a little brother who was, old enough to be indoctrinated. And like, this is what we like.
Yeah.
And if you and I team up, we can get more.
Yeah.
Right. We can get more. And so that worked out really nice, because I mean, one Christmas he got the Terror Drone for G.I. Joe, and he was like, this is great.
Yes.
And so you could tag team and get that stuff back in the day. Superpowers, Rambo. I went to this store in Virginia Beach. They had every figure line I've ever collected, and they had the Rambo figures. Like, I remember this. This is wild. I had those figures. A-Team, anything they could get away with putting figures in and getting into our hands. I had a little bit of all that. So I was all into collecting action figures. And it was really G.I. Joe that got me into comic books, because right at the same time they dropped, they were doing these animated spots, and every so often I will sit on YouTube and watch the playlist of all the G.I. Joe comic book comic book synopsis, breaking down the issue. Will G.I. Joe find Cobra Commander and Destro? Find out now in the next installment of Marvel Comics. I love that. And hey, we've also got a toy line. Yes. And so I was going to 7-Eleven every month. You didn't really even know like this is when a new comic book comes out. It was, there's a new issue of G.I. Joe. Great. There was all this other great stuff. And, in like hindsight, like looking like at the back issues, this was also coming out. All I cared about was G.I. Joe. Spinning the rack. There it is. Thank you. I didn't look at Superman, X-Men, Justice League, Batman, whatever. G.I. Joe, and I'm out. And then there was one time I was like every month now getting my fix. 7-Eleven didn't have the next issue of G.I. Joe. It was a cliffhanger. So then I went to Walden and they had their spinner rack a little bit different. Walden books, because I know people are like, Walden what?
Yeah, I
it
know
was a
what it
mall bookstore. And so it was gone. And they actually had it. I was like, awesome. And I was like, oh, this is cool. And it was like the first time I kind of like, there are other comic books besides G.I. Joe here. And
Yeah.
I was like, oh, these are cool. And I didn't read them then. And then I went to New Carrollton Mall. And
Oh yeah.
remember that
Right
that mall
across from
was
the
awesome.
movie
They
theater.
had everything in that mall that a young teenager could possibly want. They had a best where you could get your figures. They had a movie theater. You could walk right in. And then they had a comic book store.
Comic book
And it
store was like right cat corner to the movie theater.
that was the best placement of any store ever. Because it was like, yes, I want some trip. Oh, comic books. And they had the cards and all that stuff. And I got those cards back in that time period too.
That's
but
what
yeah,
I
I was
started
like,
doing my collecting was at that store in New Carrollton. That's where I
yeah,
started my comic book collecting.
love that spot. And they were good dudes too. So it was like, yeah.
Yeah.
And so the first comic books that I got there weren't G.I. Joe. It was X Factor 17, I think it was, with Beast and Cyclops. My guy. They were going, and Beast had Cyclops. He had him like hanging, and he was grabbing him by his legs, and Cyclops was aiming the optic blast. Walt Simonson Joe said, "This is cool." And in Justice League number 3, where they had gone to Russia, this is JLI, the McGuires, Matisse, Giffen run. And I was like, these are great. And that was it.
So you
it did everything
right into both Marvel and DC. You were picking up X-Men and Justice League at the same time.
Okay.
I'm not going across the aisle. I was both at the same time. And superpowers. What was the cartoons? Because I knew all those characters from the cartoon. I like Super Friends. I like Superpowers. And Spider-Man and his amazing friends were throwing in more Marvel characters every episode. Here's Captain America. Here's Thor. And here's the X-Men with an Australian.
I started collecting X-Men because I had a couple of friends that were already collectors. They used to bring books to class and school, whatever. And I started looking at a couple of things. So I started learning and understanding who it was. And then once I had no idea. I didn't really know the X-Men. I had no idea that Iceman was part of the X-Men. So once I started reading X-Men and like saw Iceman, I was like, hold tight.
That's right.
Hold tight. That's my guy from Spider-Man and Friends. That's my man Bobby Drake. We got to do this. Like they really set us up as kids. Like they really did. Like, you know what I'm saying? So that was it for me. That was it. Like, because Spider-Man has always been my guy. So as soon as that happened, I'm looking for Firestar. Can't find her. You know, she wasn't really there.
Right.
You know what I mean? So like it was just like that's they got us. They used to make those shows to sell toys, and they used to make those shows to sell books. And, like they really
don't do that now. We were talking about that off and how the MCU has created all these group of people who have no idea about the comics. But back in the day, they would have been spinning you back into the comic book stores to buy 100%. That stuff. And they don't do that anymore. And the comics are still like, hello, don't forget about us. But if they were doing, because I think some of it is they were like turning away from comic book ideas and like, no, this is our version of it. So far that it wasn't read the comic that inspired this. It's your local bookstore. And it was a problem.
I want to circle back real quick, just in terms of something from a reviewer standpoint. We've had a lot of conversations on this show about different streaming services and how they choose to drop shows on us. How some services will drop here's the whole season, enjoy the whole weekend, binge it, blah blah blah, and then you'll have other services, maybe like like Disney, where Disney Plus started really making sure that every week you got to come back and watch every week, right? Give me a second. Ryan said, why haven't movie theaters been selling comics for the past 20 years? That's a great question. We're gonna dig into that in a minute.
Put a spinner rack in there. And the movie
Um,
theaters ran out of business too.
yeah.
They saved each
So
other.
like, but I had never really considered like hearing you say how difficult it was for you to keep up, and then like by the time you get a review done, the people who are going to watch it have already watched it. You know what I mean? Maybe, right? So I had never really given credence to the idea that it's possible that part of the reason why when they could just give it all to you, part of the reason why they do that, other than like, look, we're doing 6 episodes, so you're going to be here for more than a month, so we're going to get at least one additional payment from you, right? To keep you in. But then the other part of it could simply be that they're relying on that beat. People who are going to look for reviews and want to hear from people about whether or not it's worth it for them to spend their time doing it, and how that can infect every individual episode and help somebody decide whether or not they're going to watch it or not. And then like if it's 3 episodes in or 4 episodes in, it isn't so bad if you can now go back and watch everything and catch up and still do it. Is that, I mean, I would imagine that obviously you have a preference to streaming services doing it episode by episode over the course of 6 weeks or 8 weeks or whatever it is, depending on the number of episodes. But like, I guess there's also the idea that people who are like, there's so much to watch now and there's so much going on that I'm not going to get to it. So when you do a review, it is still timely for them, right? Because they still have to make a decision on whether or not it's worth their time to go back and watch something that's on their backlog versus the ever revolving door of there's something new to watch, right? Mm-hmm. Do you have a preference, or does it really matter to you at this point in terms of like how they choose to drop stuff?
So I'm kind of like Prince Adam. I was like, I have the power. I don't care when you release your stuff. You want to put it all at once, I'm going to watch and review it. Because the thing is, it's like my friends will go, you haven't finished this season? I'm like, yeah, because I've got to watch it. I've got to, and I used to watch and write notes the entire time. And then of course, because I'm not paying full attention, I have to, while I'm writing my review, kind of watch along with it again. Oh shoot, I missed this point. So that wasn't helpful, but it takes time just to do it. I mean, it's 44 minutes. No one's crying for me about this, but it just took more time. Where they're on while I'm watching and then going to write it, they're just going to the next episode. And I think what happens, this is more for them, the studios and the streaming services. There's not enough time if you put everything out there for people to care about it and talk about it. I mean, Game of Thrones is a great example. If they did Game of Thrones, here's all 10 episodes, and you have to wait 2 years before we get another season done. But that buzz would have come and gone so fast if it was just a weekend. Mm-hmm. That week-to-week thing was really like, oh, man, I can't wait to see what happened. And you got people talking definitely on social media. I can't believe what happened with John. Oh, wait, what happened with John? You don't get that with here's everything. This was a really good series. It was fun. You get the synopsis as opposed to the discussion, the breaking down. And I think that makes more sense for the streamer to have that conversation, that engagement. You get your great spike for a weekend. If you put it all up at once, and then 2 weeks later, no one's talking about it because it's what's the next show I'm gonna, it's like junkies. What's the next show we're gonna watch? And nobody has time to sit and enjoy it and break it down and have their fan theories because it's over. You can't go, well, in episode 1, this happened. What does this mean for episode 5? Just watch episode 6, dude. Come on. What are you doing? So all that gets wiped out. So if you have it week to week, and it helps them because it's like, well, you're going to stick around for 3 months now, buddy.
Right.
I think that just makes more sense because it creates a longer buzz. And for those people who didn't watch it, they've had 6, 8 weeks of people going, this is so amazing. You haven't watched it. Like the Spider-Man show. It's been week after week. You haven't watched that Spider-Man show yet? Okay, I'm going to get to it. But
what's crazy is they're dropping multiple episodes at a time, which is a thing I've never seen them do before. That's a new thing for me. This is the first time I've ever seen that, where they're just like, here's 3 episodes. Like, here's 3 more. Here's another 2. Like, they're just, and it's like, and to be honest, when one's over, I'm like, let's go. Let's go. I need the next joint. Like, it really is. But I'm also that person who's like, Invincible, dog. Why did y'all do this and then make me wait for like 2 months to get the second half of it? And when they announced this time that they were just dropping it all, I was like,
there you go.
I'm all in.
They just did that with Daimachi with us on the anime side. Like, it was like 3 episodes left of it, and then it was like, yeah, we're going on a hiatus for like 3 months. I'm like, really? We gotta wait 3 months we're at the literal end of it right now. And they finally started dropping them again, and they have been.
Jeff, what's your take on what's going on with theaters right now? What do you think theaters need to do? Do you think they should have? I think comic books in the theater are going to get destroyed and covered in
popcorn, butter,
sticky fingers, all that.
Yeah,
I think. I mean, geez, you go to the movie theaters. Captain America: Brave New World came out. Ooh, that shield looks cool. They don't have the shields for everybody to come and take it up to the concession stand. You got to go and they have it there. I think if you had comics, you don't have to have 80, but have like 10, 20. Here's 10 from DC. Here's 5 from Marvel. Here's 5 from Image. I think that could work. I mean, one of these companies might want to try a little setup like that, behind the wall kind of thing. I mean, geez, we were collecting video games back in the day. It wasn't like, I've got the video game. It was like, I have the magic ticket, sir.
I got the ticket.
Yeah,
go to the Toys R Us window. Well, this okay. Well, all right. Here's what so the time that I spent working movie theaters, actually some of the best times of my life. I enjoyed it through and through. But the reality of it is that the business of movie theaters, they have never made money on movie tickets ever. They have always made their money in concessions, period. And what it would cost to have a distributor send you a minimum number of books for you to sell at a theater would honestly, like, I can't imagine them netting a profit at all from it based on the minimal amount they would have to have them ship in order to move them to make it make sense for them. Now, what I could see is them doing, like, in the same way certain shops will have a cover that is just for them. So like if AMC had a variant cover of a book that was specific for the release of this movie,
I can see that working a lot more.
Then I think you might really be looking at moving people in, because the collectors are going to go do it, but you're not like turning new people into comic book readers from that. David said they have the damn popcorn bucket of $50 and 3 people ahead of me bought it. Let me tell you who I am.
He's number one. He's number one.
Like me to get up
I am
and
number
go
2.
Get. Let me tell you about the $90 I spent. I mean, I did get popcorn. And but here's the thing. There should be some draw, I think, to the theater other than, it's the theater experience. Because I just think everybody knows what that is at this point for the most part. And you have to be interested in not just what the screen looks like and what the sound is like, but you have to be interested in some manner in watching it in a communal way with other people who are also watching and experiencing it for the first or second time. And if you're not doing that and you're not paying extra for XD or 4D or 3D or IMAX or Dolby or something, you might as well watch it at home. Let's see. Jamelin says, a shop I used to shop at used to have special events at every comic book movie opening. They set up a table and gave out posters and comics. They always got rid of everything and brought in new customers. Again, that's super smart, but that's the comic shop, which makes sense for the shop to do a thing like that, right? Because if you can do an event that, if people are excited about the movie, you're like, we're doing a thing where we have posters and stuff like that to give away, then they're getting something out of doing that. And hopefully it does turn people into customers who walk in looking for that poster, that free poster, or that even a free comic, but then they're going to look at all these comic books all around this. And of course, in a comic book shop now, I used to walk in a comic book shop and it was comic books and posters, and that was it. And now it's toys and figures and Funko Pops, it's t-shirts and hats. All comic book shops are basically a Spencer's minus some of the stuff you
The,
shouldn't.
Oh,
better
the
lighting.
back,
the back of
part
the
of the
Spencer
store.
store.
The
Yeah,
back
the
of the
back
store.
part.
The
Yeah.
back area with the black light. So,
It was
like,
about saying a lot less black light.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it just and comic books have always been niche, right? So when you start to even lose some of the niche appeal and it gets really expensive and the books aren't that great, it's hard to say. Blake says if they offer comics at the theater and a kid goes with their parents, that kid might want his dad to buy him one and create a reader right then and there. You're absolutely right. And there are times when, look, a lot of like when I go to the theater with my family, and a lot of times they have free posters or something like that. And again, they could do a book giveaway. That would make more sense to me. I don't think there would be money in it for a theater to sell them there. And I don't think there's money in it for a distributor to ship it to a theater, because the minimum shipments you would have to do in order to make it worth it, they're probably not going to be able to move that many units, right?
They could do it like this. They could do you got your Captain America, your Spider-Man helmet, and you could have your free comic book day Captain America Spider-Man book attached to it, and then a $5 voucher to your local comic book store. I mean, they do this
Right.
local comic book,
Right.
free comic book day. Here's your nearby comic book store, and that way you send them to the comic book store. And for Marvel, it's definitely incentive for people to go into it, because they're not seeing a whole lot of, hey, we're getting so many new customers on the strength of these movies. And the comic book creators are like, we're not seeing anything from these movies either. So
yeah, I mean, I think part of it is, look, in the same way that like any viewer who is trying to make a decision about what of the thousands of things on Netflix they should watch, right? What should they binge next? While Amazon Prime is going, oh, we just dropped this, and Apple TV is going, oh, but we just dropped this, and then Max is going, oh, we got rid of HBO, but we did just drop this, and then you know what I mean? And so meanwhile, while all those things are happening, people are going, but I've been stuck scrolling Instagram reels for like the last 45 minutes. And I've been on YouTube for the last 2 hours, watching this. Like literally everybody is
loading snacks.
Hey.
You see what I'm saying? Like the truth is you could literally be nowhere different in the world and still be doing something totally different. And you might be doing it now. Like I know that there are people who just have us running in the background while they do other things, maybe even watch something else, right? So I appreciate it. I do. But I also understand that like if pulling people away from their screens, like you're not just vying for time for people to read the next comic book. You're vying for them to give up their screen, right? And so for a company like Marvel or DC, it is also like, if we do that and we give away a free comic, maybe we need to give them a voucher so they can download comics and they can get into the digital world, because that's really, you know what I mean? Like that's where we really need them. And that might be what it has to be, because you just, every kid, and again, YouTube is not just fighting with Netflix and fighting with Amazon for the time on the screen, but you can also play Fortnite on that same screen or Roblox on that same screen. And now, like, you can play full-fledged Resident Evils and that, like, so the fight for your attention is such a big deal now that all of it is, if they can actually get you to go to a theater and sit down and put down your phone, like they literally have to tell you, hey man, you at the movies.
You should put your phone up.
You should go ahead and
Don't be
put that
that guy.
away.
Yeah.
Go ahead and silence that phone.
Literally, don't talk, don't text, and shut up. Like they gotta tell you all of that. Like
That's too much. It's too much.
And enjoy
They
your
have
movie.
to tell you that.
Right.
So,
Please
like,
enjoy the movie.
Yeah, you know that you're fine. Like you paid to be here. Somebody paid for you to be here. Like you know what I mean? Like, so spend the time, enjoy it. It's super difficult. And look, I don't know. How do you pull yourself away to be like, well, it's time for me to go get a new figure? And when I sit down, how do you decide what you open? Do you open everything, Jeff?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean,
okay,
that's like the fun of it. Like just imagine in my sleep, let me out. But I mean, I gotta it's fun to pose them around. Like right now, while we've been talking, I've been messing around with the Black Series Jar Jar
Jar Jar
Binks.
Binks.
He sounds very upset. But it's just that's the fun. You just mess around and pose. Like I've got a bunch just randomly here. Like at any moment while I'm doing whatever, it's like, hey, let me grab Dusty. So it's just that's the fun of it. And if I just had him in box, that wouldn't work.
You also, do some really dope photography.
Appreciate it.
Really dope photography for your figures and so forth. And like, I think we talked a little bit like a little while ago when I think the first good snow we had, man, you took the G.I. Joes out and were just like, hey,
absolutely,
it snowed. So we about to shoot some pictures out here in this snow. But and as dope as those were, what I really want to talk to you about is the wrestling figures when you shoot those in the ring going hard. What's the like where you you go hard with them. I love them. And obviously you watch wrestling, you're into it. Are you like how avid of a watch? Do you watch everything? Are you like
so I was very lapsed like for a minute because it was like I was watching AEW and it's like, dude, he just hit him with a bazooka and he's getting back up and they're wrestling for another 40 minutes. And
AEW.
I was just like, okay,
hey, we're going on the pillars now.
Maybe it's passed me by. And it wasn't until I would watch the big four events from the WWE. So I always watch Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, SummerSlam, Survivor Series. Like that was because that's the four I saw from creation. I don't know, we've got all these other random ones they've thrown in since then, but those are the ones that they treated like they were really special. And I guess to some extent they still do now. And so I would tune in, and I remember 2 years ago now with the Royal Rumble. Oh, Cody won. And like I started paying more attention to WWE when Cody came back. Because I was like, all right, this is gonna be a test. Because if they do right by him, a lot of this AEW crew is gonna go back to WWE. And I remember watching TNA and really enjoying Drew McIntyre doing his thing. That's like, this is the chosen one that they were talking about. And him with Tongaloa and Eli Drake. And I was like, yeah, exactly. I was like, these guys are good. And Eli Drake, I was like, this guy talks better than Drew. And Drew was better at that point than talking. And I was like, this is going to happen on a major level. And I was like, oh, cool. He won the Rumble. This is awesome. And then they had him lose. I was like, I had that red wedding film. I was like, I am about to be done with WWE. I can't believe they dropped all of this. So mad. I was like, these morons, what are they doing? And I was really occasionally paying attention because I was so over. It's like, this Roman Reign has been ridiculous. And they're like, he's the guy. I'm like, come on. He's doing the same thing every match. I know, it was like every match. Oh, look, here's the Usos. Here's Solo. I was like, ugh. And they're like, he's closing it like that. I was like, yeah.
I want to tell you that I'm not even watching it and I'm tired of hearing it.
Oh, man. It was the
courtesy of us jokes.
Yeah.
And to be honest, it really ain't y'all. It's everything everywhere else.
It was excessive. Yeah. But I was the previous year's Royal Rumble and Cody won against like, oh. And then the whole thing with Rock. Hey, excuse me, young buck. I'm about to take this spot. I got really hooked into that. And I was like, oh, this road to WrestleMania is the best one ever. And it was so great.
Yeah, they did.
Like,
they did a great job.
Yeah. They could have never written that and hoped it would have worked as good as it did. And I was like, this is amazing. So the WrestleMania, I was like, this is great. Loving this WrestleMania. Yeah. Completed the story. And I was like, all right, what you got next? So I have been watching faithfully every week Raw, SmackDown. I was on long hiatus on NXT after they switched it to the colorful NXT. Colorful. I was black and gold all the way. I'm like, what are y'all doing? And so I've been onto it, and I've really been watching every week. I may be a couple episodes back on NXT, but I just binged that until they started going to Netflix. And Netflix got a little bit more painful to fast forward through the commercials and all this dumb stuff. I'm like, you know what?
It is.
I'm gonna watch SmackDown. And I want to read the recaps of Raw because I can't do it. Like that first episode of Raw on Netflix, I was like, I'm tired, but I gotta watch to see what's going on. They had like 8,002 commercials in it. And then Rock's like, hey, we did a great job.
No, it depends on where your VPN is set to.
Because
This is say like that. Set it somewhere else. No commercial.
Yeah. Whew. Man, Rock doing the glad hand. It's like, nah, dude, I want the final boss. Don't come out here. Hey, everybody. I had a great time. I was like, no, dude, please don't. So I haven't watched much of Raw on Netflix, but I've been watching SmackDown. I've been watching NXT. Love it. And I was like, oh, this when it was down to Jay and Cena, I was like, well, clearly I know who's gonna go on here. This makes sense anyway. And Cena's look was my look like, wow. But Jokes, you probably were like me at that Survivor Series where they did Jimmy, of course, and then they did Sammy. I was like, yeah, of course, this makes sense. And then they had CM Punk come out. I was like, wait, according to the normal hierarchy, that should have been Jey Uso's spot. And then Roman came out and said, oh, they think real highly of Jey.
Because Jey is super over.
Yep.
Yeah. When they've been doing the crowd and they've been lighting up perfect, like I feel like this is bigger than because yes, because that was
I literally said the exact.
He did.
Yeah,
and now even to the point where they run it back. He'll come out, they'll stop, and everybody be like, "No, do it one more time, and they let him go back and do it more now. Yeah,
it's just hype, and the fans are into it. It makes for a great visual on TV. The fans are like, "Yeah, we're doing a great visual on TV." And it's just like a thing. I'm trying to think of other guys. I'm like, because Austin and Rock didn't have anything that you could see the fans doing like Jay is doing right now. And it's like, man, this is, and I don't want to go, well, he's as big a star as Rock and Stone Cold, but it kind of is like, this hasn't been like a couple months and then it flames out. This isn't a Zack Ryder thing where, man, everybody's Zack Ryder fans or RVD.
It's been consistent. Yep.
Yeah, it's just been going on for a minute now. And Jay can do those promos. There's a problem when you have the figures. When you start getting excited, somebody's falling over. But he's been doing his thing, like, ever since the whole main event Jey Uso took over. It's like, all right, let's see how long before they go, we're going to put you back with Jimmy.
I was telling Jokes the other day, can you imagine how it's going to sound at WrestleMania? Like, it's going to be,
oh my gosh,
it is going to be just, it's going to be terrible in a good way.
I promise you, I will not watch Raw if Gunther walks out of there with that title.
He better
I'm
not.
so tired of Gunther. It's like, this guy's had the title every time. I think he's not been a champ for 4 days. It's like, dude, he's boring. I can't stand Gunther. And his matches are really good, but it's like,
I like Gunther, but I need Jay. Jay has to come out on top. There's no two ways about it.
Yeah, man.
What you gonna do if he don't? Keep watching. You're just gonna keep watching. You know what I mean? They can do whatever they want.
Oh, I will not. I don't watch Raw on Netflix right now, but I have gone on long-term breaks from them, and I don't care. Yeah. If somebody goes, it's good again, I will watch it. But I will long form not watch them and like, oh, okay. So Roman's still on top. Great. I'm good. When he was fighting Brock at every WrestleMania, who cares? Oh, Bobby Lashley's the champ. Let me tune in and see what's going on. Like,
no,
that's what it is. Hate Bobby
Lashley.
I can't stand Bobby Lashley.
He's like creative.
The Hurt Syndicate era too.
I can't stand him.
Or Hurt Business, not Hurt Syndicate. That's their AEW.
We gotta do a couple of things. Jokes, do me a favor. Put the links up for both Jeff's YouTube channels for Lyles Movie Files and Lyles Figure Files. Joe's gonna drop those in the chat, so anybody who's here who's not already following can go in. Please go in and subscribe to those, and then also go ahead and drop the Instagram, please, so people can go in, follow Jeff on Instagram. You can just go to the website and go to LylesMovieFiles.com for sure. While Jokes is doing that, Jeff, I'm gonna apply a little pressure before we start watching a couple of trailers. Can you name your top 3 movies of all time?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Let's go with, since it's Tuesday, I'll switch it up. I'll go with Infinity War.
Okay.
That cliffhanger ending. Godfather Part 1. Godfather, just The Godfather. Empire Strikes Back. I could go further and give you a few more. Really loved Inception. That's one on my list. Superman 2, GoldenEye, because I wanted to see Pierce Brosnan as James Bond forever. And that one, we had the boys with toys. For London James, no Alec for me. So that for sure. Let me see, is there anything else that I can Hangover, because I need to laugh and Coming to America.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Classics.
Yeah.
All right. How about top 3 figures in your collection?
Grand Point the Cyclops.
That's another one. So that Luke Skywalker there, Empire Strikes Back. Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So they did him right with Hot Toys. So they have the Empire Strikes Back version. He was a 2-pack. So he's clean, pristine, checking out the blaster. I don't need this. This isn't gonna work. And then in that same 2-pack, they gave you a beat down. Darth Vader's a lousy cheater, throwing stuff at me. He's bloody. He's got the hair wet, and it's just like the outfit actually has rips and blood stains, and you can take the hand off. So that is for sure. I mean, it is amazing. And let's see other ones. Boy. Oh, my Statler and Waldorf from Palisades, Muppets line.
Classics.
So the Muppet Show, they gave them chairs so they can heckle everything in my collection. I love that. And probably my masterpiece, Optimus Prime, because that was like, oh my gosh. Now I'll cheat and say Optimus and Megatron, because the Megatron has plates that you can take off, battle damage, and you can have the joint. He's literally, it's over Prime. So those that's probably my 3.
I dig that.
Nice.
I super appreciate. Is there something that has eluded you in the toy collecting, like something that's just like, this is the one I want, but I haven't been able to get my hands on?
Good one.
So G.I. Joe Classified series has kind of made it so some of this stuff is a pipe dream for later, but the 2 are G.I. Joe related from back in the day. The whale, I really wanted that, and that thing was, coincidentally enough, featured all the time on the cartoon show. And I was like, oh man, this is amazing. I don't know why I didn't get that, because I don't know what happened with the whale, but I didn't get it. And looking at the prices of what people were paying for G.I. Joe figures back then, I'm like, good grief, man. Oh, that's amazing. I could have stacked up on all my G.I. Joes with like this shelf here. Go back in time. And the flag, of course. Because the flag, I was very subtle in letting my parents know I wanted it. I was drawing the flag and taping the pictures on my door. This is what I would like for my birthday. So those were my 2 major.
Those are the ones.
Yeah. Now see, with the Classified series line, I know it'll probably be a little bit more expensive, but I feel like they're like, how do we make a whale work? So I'm hoping I can get that from them. I'm just going to go get a big slab of, granite or something, put in the backyard to make a flag. But yeah, that's what I would like to see. A Classified series whale.
I dig it, man. I actually saw sneakily a couple of figures. We were at Big Lick Comic-Con a couple of weeks ago, and we were next to we were with Ming Chen, who was next to the original Flash Gordon, and then next to him was Sergeant Slaughter. So people were coming up, and Sergeant Slaughter is actually one of the G.I. Joes that I always wanted, but I never got.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Here's the thing. It just was like Sergeant Slaughter and the refrigerator, because they were real people.
The fridge, yeah.
That's the only. It was just because they were actual people. You know what I mean? So it was like they weren't cooler than Quick Kick, but they're real people. You know what I'm saying? And so like just in like passing, I definitely saw some people with like stuff that they were taking to Sergeant Slaughter to get signed or whatever. And I was like, man, they got some things out here. A lot of course, whenever we go to a convention and there are people who are there that are like that, like from just a nostalgia standpoint.
Mhm.
All of the toy vendors and all that, they always have stuff like that you can buy from them and take to go get signed and stuff like that, man. And so definitely saw some things, but I have managed to stave off the figure collecting because Lego. That's a whole different thing.
That's a whole different thing.
I might be jumping on the Lego train now.
Equally expensive train.
No, you are.
Oh,
I know.
You are.
Yeah, I
Because
know.
that
The
going
One
married
Piece.
drama, you gotta have a One Piece one. There's no two
Yeah.
ways about it.
Yeah.
Do you have the X-Men Mansion yet, Sin?
Oh no. Gage is the one that's big on collecting Legos. It's the fact that One Piece and Lego are doing something now. So now I need everything One Piece related when it comes to Lego.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I got that X Mansion. That thing is, I haven't built it. I got that. Got the Daily Bugle.
Nice.
Got the Optimus Prime. The Bumblebee is still in the box.
Okay.
I thought about.
So you have a Lego building backlog.
Correct.
That's it.
Correct. Because those joints take some time.
Woo.
Yeah.
And space.
That
The Final Frontier, I have found it. Like, I have not found the Final Frontier. I ain't got no space. I used all of my Final Frontier. You know what I'm saying? So David said Slaughter got me into wrestling and Joe's. Exactly. It was like the perfect crossover. And I also probably
Legos
really didn't
double
care
as
about
a
football.
retirement plan.
But the refrigerator, dog. You know what I'm saying? Hey, listen, Blake, you right. Because if you play it right, I will tell you that, like, man, that Infinity Gauntlet is sitting in the box. Haven't touched it, haven't opened it. Backlog. You know what I mean? Cuddy said I had Claude and his crew. Still remember him suplexing with elbows on Cobra. Real talk.
Mercer was my guy.
Hey, look, I will tell you that the G.I. Joe figures I wanted the absolute most, Tomax and Zaymon, because they changed colors in the sun.
Oh, you didn't. No, not Tomax and Zaymon. You're talking about Zartan.
Zartan, I'm sorry. Yeah,
he changed color. Yeah.
Zorana and Xandar.
Diabolical.
Hey, Kate Miller, you know, listen, Legos is a diabolical hobby.
I can't.
There's
I can't.
no two ways about it.
I can't get into it with having Gundam model kits. If I throw Lego in the mix, there's no.
Hey, dog, let them do a Lego Gundam. You're done, bro.
Oh, I'm
You're
done. Oh,
he is done.
I'm done. I am done.
Bro. Yeah, listen. I mean, is there a Lego Voltron within reach? Yes. Is there an X-Wing literally right here within reach? Like how you got figures all around you, Jeff?
Hey, listen, I understand
They're everywhere, dog. Like I don't have, there's no, like I can't, they're everywhere, bro.
Hey, listen,
they're everywhere.
I'm right there with you. Jalen asked a question for you.
What's that? What was the question? I did not get the Bat Cave. I did get the Bat Wing. So yeah, got the giant, the original Bat Wing from the '89 Batman. Got that. Got the Batmobile, both the Tumbler from the Nolan films as well as the one from the Batman, which is bigger, which is a Lego Technics. So it has the light up and the opening doors and all of that kind of stuff. Listen, it's out of control. I'm not even gonna sit here and try control. Not really. You know what I mean? You know.
Exactly.
Blake said, "Are you on the panel? Are you all on the panel reading the G.I. Joe Energon universe?" So let me tell you how. For me, the answer is no. However, Free Comic Book Day last year, one of their books was that, and the owner, we went to a comic shop in Virginia, at Comic Logic, owned by some friends of ours, and one of the owners was like, "You have to read this." So I got it, and I did, and somehow I managed to allow myself to not. And I'll tell you exactly what happened, because instead of going down that rabbit hole, I went back down the Last Ronin rabbit hole, like all the new Ninja Turtle stuff. Because I love OG black and white, all red bandanas. Yes, we stab people and we curse Ninja Turtles. Like I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Did I just buy some new Ninja Turtle shoes?
You sure did.
Hey, this is the tone of non-judgment here.
I sent him that thing. He was like, I got them.
Bro. Hey, listen, because they have the LaMelo Ball joints, and they're the ugliest swirl-tastic shoes I have ever seen. And I was like, not doing it. But then I saw those joints. And I already have a pair of Turtles joints, Adidas joints.
Mm-hmm.
These new Puma joints are
To do.
their problem. Their problem, man. Jamelin says, let me tell you something about Lego.
Hey, listen.
It may not be an official Lego Gundam set, but you can definitely make automobile suits out of Lego.
Hey, listen.
You are so right.
I've already seen people that have put certain models of it together using Legos, and I just sit there and I'm just like, how the hell did you manage to do certain like pieces of the gun? I'm like, what Lego pieces did you have to get together from what kits to put together to build this? It's insane. I won't do it. Because the moment I figure out certain pieces that I can get and put together and make a gun out of Legos, it's going to be a problem.
You can make that Wing Zero.
Is
Send,
listen.
Nice. You know you're gonna make that Wing Zero.
If I get a Wing Zero, listen, I have Freedom still sitting down. My SD Master Grade jump that I have not put together again. You put together yet? I am ordering the Wing Zero custom one. And now they just announced Ariel's getting one. So now I'm like, I'm gonna already be backed up. So
yeah, you're behind. You gotta step on it. You gotta get on
There's
it.
like 3 kids downstairs that I haven't touched yet.
That's terrible.
Yeah,
that's a terrible analogy, dog. I don't even like the way you said that. I don't like what you just said, but I get it. Here's what I want to do. We got
but make sure you read that Energon G.I. Joe though, because
no doubt. I will. I again, the backlog. Let me tell you how healthy my backlog is.
Chunky.
My backlog is thick with 2 C's.
2 C's? That's the third one?
Okay, my backlog crazy.
My backlog crazy. My backlog can have an OnlyFans. My backlog so thick. Listen, it's out of control, right? Like, really, like between video games and Legos to build and shows to watch and like again, like we know what I mean. It just it is what it is. It's actually part of the territory. I'm ready to stop like feeling shame about my backlog and start bragging about it. So again,
brag about it.
Yeah. I'm on
the G.I. Joe only has Duke, Cobra Commander, Destro, 4 issues each leading up to G.I. Joe. There's a Scarlet one. You don't have to read it yet. So far, they haven't connected that to the rest of it. And G.I. Joe issue 4 drops tomorrow. And it's really good. So you got 3 trades that you can knock out, 4 issues. So it's not like, oh man, it's a massive one. And the G.I. Joe one is serious.
All right, so listen. Because you said that, I'm just gonna throw this out there. At the end of the last Transformers movie, they threw that little like, oh, we introducing G.I. Joe into the terrible Beast Wars movie. I mean, like, are we gonna get that? Like, is it like, do I need to like preface myself because they might actually do something good? Like, Hasbro's in so much trouble right now that like, I don't know that that's ever happening.
They've sold off doing movies, so they're letting Paramount handle it. I really think if they were some visionary folks over there, what they would do is do what Marvel Studios did and strip mine everything from the comic books. And the writers over on the Energon universe, Robert Kirkman, I mean, you would think that alone would be enough for them to go, we don't need to worry about anything. We got the dude who did The Walking Dead and Invincible. Let's let him steer our movies, our TV, because they could do all kinds of things with this. I think his book, Void Rivals, would make for a really fun TV show. That could work as an animation deal, too. And what they did with setting up Transformers and G.I. Joe, incredible. Like Joshua Williamson and, oh, man. Hold on. I got to make sure I got my boys, my name.
I had the right name in there.
I do. Daniel Warren Johnson. There we go. And I did remember that. I didn't have to look it up, thankfully. Thank you so much, Miss Dorsch. And so they set it up where the 2 universes collide. And what goes on in Transformers directly sets up G.I. Joe. So you can read Transformers too. But it is the absolute best way for them to do a Transformers G.I. Joe universe or a shared universe where, Transformers, these big robot monsters, they're causing all kinds of chaos, not even caring about it. And from that spark of chaos starts up G.I. Joe. And they don't need to do anything. It is literally done for them. Johnson and Williamson have been like, here. And if they were to just take that into a movie universe, they would not, they would just make money. And it wouldn't be this thing of, we've gotten 40 Transformer movies already. People would be excited about it. And they could do it just obvious as they did it in the comic book, where it's not some Easter egg. Oh, look, there. No, it's like, hey, is that so? It is.
They just put it out there.
I'm saying, I talked to Joshua Williamson and said, listen, you guys did all the work for him. And it's really right there. If they were to just say, writers, screenwriters, directors, we're going to move you on here to something else. We've got some great Paramount work for you later. But we got this G.I. Joe thing and Transformers thing locked up. All they need to do is just scrap it and do what they've done in the comic books. It feeds directly into it. And it would build for that clash of G.I. Joe and Transformers in an organic way that would have people excited about it, as opposed to, like we saw with what happened with Transformers 1. I did not care. It's the same deal with that new Spider-Man show. I was like, whatever. Chris Hemsworth voicing Optimus Prime. No, I'm good. I finally watched it.
That was good, though.
It was great.
Yeah, I heard it was good.
Yeah, and I was like, I was mad because I was like, yeah, they really dropped the ball on Transformers so much that they actually had a really good one. And people were sleeping on it, but it was really good. And
the shows have actually been really good. Like the Transformers
chance I get.
Really good.
It's good.
Yeah.
Watch it. So yeah, for sure.
All right. I guess I gotta do that. I guess I'll do it. Oh, Pops, great to see you.
Hey, Mr. Dorsch, how are you? Oh, family watch.
Hey, jokes.
Yo.
Load up this quick Daredevil teaser. Let's take a look at this new Daredevil teaser, and then let's take a look at this Batman thing, and then let's get out of here, man. Let's, you know what I mean?
Cool.
I was raised to believe in grace, that we can be transformed into a better person. But I was also raised to believe in retribution. Just one of those days, I guess. Daredevil, Born Again, only on Disney Plus. Yes.
You know what, dog?
Yes.
I think they're honest. Are any of you more excited for this by any chance because of anything that has to do with Captain and
No.
No, it doesn't need nothing.
Nothing.
Okay. You just are ready for Daredevil.
Right?
I'm ready for them
TVMA,
hands.
they didn't change it. I was like, I'm good.
They're saying it's actually worse than the Netflix one.
Good.
I know, yes. And
that trailer, the first trailer was like, yo.
Yes, that and them hands.
100%.
I'm waiting for all these from Daredevil. Let's go.
Listen, I know it's going to turn a lot of people off because I know a lot of people who just didn't watch it because they couldn't. It was too violent, too bloody, too whatever. And this is going to be
This ain't where you're going to want to start from then.
Nope, but I'm going to tell you what. I'm all in.
Locked in.
Yeah,
locked in.
Locked in for that first person to get bodied in the first
I'm waiting for that first bone break.
Oh my gosh, bro. Let me tell you something. Speaking of Daredevil makes an appearance in the new Spider-Man animated joint. He's a beast. He better with that baton than Captain America is with that shield, bro. He was cooking. He was cooking in this joint, dog. Like, and again, here's the thing. They let my man voice him. So that's the other thing. Is like,
Charlie Cox voice him?
Yeah.
Nice.
A lot of the voices are being done by like their MCU counterparts. Like,
nice. Okay. Yet another reason.
Gotcha. Make you wonder.
Did you ever watch that Fantastic Four from back in the day that I mentioned earlier?
Like the TV show, like the animated one?
Yeah.
I have, yes, I did. I don't like Fantastic Four. Let me just make that very clear.
Okay.
But I did. I did. Yeah.
So did you see the episode with Daredevil in it?
I don't
It's been
recall
so
it.
long.
All right, so it was like the first episode of season 2, and again, do not watch season 1; it's terrible. So on Disney Plus now, but season 2 is ripped straight from Jack Kirby and Stan Lee, and it flows so well because it's like they just said, let's try a novel approach. Let's use the comic books as our inspiration for our show. Surprisingly, it was awesome. So Daredevil helps the Fantastic Four in the comic. He's helping them in the show, and he's just showing off. He's doing his thing, and they've got the cell shading on his costume. You're a Daredevil fan and you haven't watched it in a while, I definitely recommend it. It was really fun. Right. And he's just doing his thing. And it's like, man, Daredevil's awesome. So, yeah.
I'm down.
So that's my recommendation, taking yours to watch the Spider-Man. Give it a fair shot.
All right. We could do that. I mean, I'm not going to watch the first season, and so that's perfect.
Season 2.
I could pick up from the second season. I'm down for that.
Yeah.
Let's move on to Batman. Load up this new Batman Ninja trailer that dropped today. Let's see.
Hello, Batman. Good to see you. I guess they weren't kidding about it raining Yakuza.
Oh
yeah, of course. Raining men just like it always does.
What the huh?
It's like literally raining Yakuza.
I went to search for deviations in modern-day Japan, but as you can see...
Japan is gone?
It gets worse. It would seem that Superman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, Green Lantern, and Flash have also disappeared.
So we now find ourselves without a Justice League, which tells us that history has been changed. We need to recover the Quake engine, and then use it to return space-time back to normal.
Is that Green Lantern?
Now say goodbye!
Wonder Woman, of course.
Yakuza families are all that exist. There is no government nor law enforcement.
Within the ranks of the Japanese Yakuza are sacrificial assassins sent to kill the bosses of rival syndicates.
Stopping the Quake engine is our top priority right now.
Once we destroy it, Hinamoto should go back to being part of its original world.
The only one who gets the pleasure of killing the Batman is me!
The Yakuza League will restore peace and harmony back to the world.
Now, let's get this party started!
Gotham City will be crushed.
Hey, now that is probably going to be the way to watch
We're
it.
going to play it again with the Japanese audio.
Oh, it's with. Oh, hold up. Let me.
Oh, you want to see that, bro? I'm not listening.
Nah, I'll watch that joint later. Hey, Sam, we can watch that joint later because that probably is going to be the way to watch it.
Either way, it's going to be trash.
Listen, Batman's voice alone is a no-go.
Robin's voice also a no-go.
The last one was trash.
I am so glad to hear you say that because I was not feeling that first Batman Ninja.
It was terrible. It was terrible. As soon as I see him shooting Yakuza out of a massive Gatling gun, like, all right, we're doing the stupid shit again. No.
I have to say, I actually like the concept of
the concept is fun.
The members of the Justice League, like being
like
Yakuza,
their feudal looks.
like what they did with them.
I like that feudal.
I like that part of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just executed
I will
badly.
watch it because of that, but I know I'm not gonna like it.
Exactly, KB.
Yeah, KB.
Yeah,
and you would think the way that that Ninja would have been, absolutely fine. Like it felt like this was like a good combination to put together to probably make it work.
But no, it was not executed well.
I mean, I will say I think a lot of the issue is the animation. It's just like the CG, and like I just think that was a bad choice to go with. I don't think it looks good. So I think that just takes a lot away from it. And I would maybe have liked to see them. Man, they should have just talked to like one of the artists who did something on that, like that Star Wars Disney like anime
the Vision joint, yeah.
like
No, any of them, that
any one of them to do this, and they, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, just go pilfer somebody from the Disney Marvel side to come do this. Because I keep it a buck, man. I used to love DC animation, and they have been trash.
Yeah.
For
After
like,
what was the Apocalypse joint?
Yes, that was the one. Yes.
And then they shifted and went to the story.
Yeah.
And then I just couldn't get into it. And then once Crisis came out, and I saw that they were gonna put the two of them and link them together, I was like, okay, you've piqued my interest, but it still didn't
work out. They had 3 movies to do Crisis justice.
Hey,
and that was the most we were ever going to see. All they had to do was just do Crisis right. And I would have been, this is amazing. They had 3 movies.
I get trying to make it fit within the confines of what they were trying to use for the animated universe, but just like that joint was, Crisis has been laid out perfectly for you to been able to just take it and move. Yes, you do a little tweaking. Yes, we get it, but no,
it's so bad.
Yeah, it's been actually really sad to see all of the like, again, when they didn't have live action, they had their animation.
Yeah. Holding it down.
Ranking. And it ain't working no more.
Hey, listen, I think the Penguin used up all the good stuff. It was not the movie that summed up like, oh, I gotta watch it still. But just from you and everyone else, that is like,
yes, you do.
All the goodness that DC tried to do.
Incredible show.
That's gonna use up all the goodness that they should have. So hopefully Superman can do good, because if it doesn't, DC just needs to just throw it all away.
I mean, I'll be honest. I actually think Superman's gonna be great. But
I think so too.
Yeah, I actually think Superman's gonna be great, and I think that part of it is that they're just like, the one thing that I will say about what James Gunn is doing as far as that movie is concerned is that they're not completely leaning on Superman. There are other people. It's an established universe where heroes already exist, and there are other people that are in it. And I think that's a super important thing for trying to take something and move forward with it. So, like, I'll give them that. I'm not a huge fan of James Gunn's work. However, I will give him a pass to see what happens. You know what I'm saying with this. I think a lot of it is James Gunn stuff is starting to become very cookie cutter. It's starting to feel very the same. It feels recycled. The kind of jokes, the music, every 30 seconds we gotta have a new song playing. The overemphasized gore and like, it's just it's all very tropey, and it's all starting to feel very samey. And I need us to get out of that. If we can get away from that guy and his specific like mark on it, I think we'll be fine. AB, you ready? Yeah, you know, Listen, already hates
he hates the next one. He hates the next one after that, and then the one after that, and then the one that doesn't even come, and the one that doesn't even come out in this universe.
I hate the announcements. Yeah, I hate it all.
That is like super great, and the other one, he don't like that either.
Superman getting beat up in the trailer or being beat up in the trailer was like the best. All right.
Yeah, all right. I can give this a go.
I'll watch it now.
That was the, I'll go ahead and give it a whirl.
I can tolerate this. Yeah.
Look, man, Superman is definitely not my guy, but I will give the attempts that are made to really make not only Superman interesting, but make him appeal to people so that people can identify with him. Like, Marvel's done such a great job of humanizing their characters and showing you their character flaws, and you being able to literally empathize with them and what they're going through, even though they have these abilities and these powers or they're geniuses or they're super rich or whatever it is. Marvel's done a really, really great job of that. And DC just hasn't been able to do that because all their characters are gods. At least in the Justice League. Like, they're all gods. They're all, and so it makes it much more difficult, I think, for the average viewing public who is coming out of Marvel movies going, hey, you know who's my favorite dude? Tony Stark. They don't call him Iron Man. They call him Tony. You know what I mean? She's not Scarlet Witch. She's Wanda. The only person they call by their name is Vision. That's it.
That's his name.
And Thor, because that's his name. Everybody else,
Odin's
they go by
son.
their government. Like, you literally just be calling them by what's on their license. That's it. So, I don't know. KB said, get him out of the little space rock. That's it. That's it. Listen, we're getting ready to shut the show down. Jeff, I just want to take a moment to thank you for hanging out with us, spending some time with us. It's always great to rap with you. We definitely need to do this more often.
Say the word.
Oh, I did see somebody asked me whether or not any of my Legos have ever taken a head dive. The answer is no. Very fortunate, and you probably just jinxed me. So
I'm so quick.
But yeah, Jeff, thanks again for hanging out. Again, if you're not already following Jeff, please grab those links out of the chat. Follow, subscribe across the board. Jeff is doing great work, always does. Again, you check out the Instagram, you get to see some of those dope photos, wrestler figures, and G.I. Joe's out in the snow. Joe's in the snow. Joe's in the snow. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, please do that. Jeff, what's the next thing you got on your plate? What's the next big thing you got going on? Getting ready to drop any major
So I
reviews?
did a long form breakdown of X Factor issues 1 through 11 and the issues leading up to it, and then kind of tied it into what Hasbro should do for their Marvel Legends line in terms of figures to do. So I'm going to do the next part of that real soon, and another one, maybe like a breakdown of Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes, because I feel like that show needs some more love with X-Men 97, and I'm like,
they've been telling me that for
I've been
years.
singing the praises of that
I still haven't
joint.
watched it yet.
oh, you haven't seen?
No, I haven't seen
it.
Incredible, dog.
I've seen probably like the first 5 or 6 episodes of the first season. That's about it. That's all I'm saying.
Nah, bro.
It was wild as they were using that show for inspiration for the MCU's biggest stuff. Like they have scene by scene points in Endgame from this cartoon. I'm like, wow, it's so good. There is not a character on there they don't do justice to, and they do miles better on Secret Invasion than that live action garbage.
Bro, when that twist drops, bro.
Oh man,
yeah.
It's like, why did y'all put out this TV show when you had it right here? All you need to do is adapt it. And Dr. Doom in that show, I wouldn't be disappointed if Robert Downey Jr. isn't as cool as Dr. Doom on Earth's Mightiest Heroes. They had Dr. Doom down.
I will, David. I find time to get it in and to watch it at some point when I have.
Man, I can't recommend that show enough. It is. It's a great ride, and I mean, you just love those characters. Black Panther gets his throughout the show, and it's like, yes, this is the way to do justice to Black Panther.
Shows up and puts hands on everybody.
I do remember that. I did see his introduction. Yeah, he was sneaking around the mansion, bodying everybody.
Right. And it's not just that episode. Every Avenger they put on there is like, wow, they should do them like this in the movies.
Yeah, man, like those Hulk man, listen, that joint is dope, bro. Like that thing is like,
absolutely.
You know what, Jeff? I'm gonna tell you. Like, are you a fan of the Runaways?
It was it on Hulu? I don't have Hulu, so I never watched it. Yeah. My brother was raving about it, and then it was like, oh, they canceled it, and I'm like, well, that sounds like an ABC show to me. So,
what about the comics?
The comics are solid. I mean,
so I'm gonna tell you that the new Spider-Man show,
like that,
one of the main characters is Nico from the Runaways.
Nico's in it. Oh, okay. Yeah, I was about
like his best friend. It's a whole thing, bro. Like they just dropping hints, and they don't tell you. It's so good, bro. That show's so good, dog.
All right, I'm gonna watch it by this time next week, so we can chat. And Ryan is for sure the Hawkeye. Hulk bromance is awesome.
So
and Hawkeye is
good.
great. Like I like
He
Jeremy
is.
Renner just fine in it, but they have Hawkeye perfect. He's cocky.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't care if all I got is arrows. I can take every last one of you. And it's like, that's Hawkeye from the comics.
It's so good.
Yeah.
It's so good. Yeah. And him and Hulk together, bro, the way they talk trash and go back and forth, it's so good. It's so good.
Y'all really want me to go to sleep on this thing tonight. Be up all night trying to.
I basically go to sleep on that.
Let me lay there and watch this before I pass out. Next thing I know, 6 episodes have passed. Like,
Yeah.
Are you still watching? Yes.
Yep. And so look, this weekend we will be at StellarCon. This Saturday is in Pikesville. We'll be hosting. We'll be on stage. We are hosting the kids cosplay contest, the adult cosplay contest. We are hosting the 3 panels. So Johnny Young Bosch, who y'all might know is one of the original Black Rangers, will be there. The original voice of Ash Ketchum from the first 8 seasons Pokemon will be there hosting both of those panels. So it's gonna be a good time. It's a 1-day convention. If you can come out, hang out, support. It'll be really cool. And then Monday, the Loading Snacks Movie Club we are having our discussion of the movie The January Man. And I'm gonna tell you what, it's finna be a doozy. This finna be a problem.
I take it you've already done your homework?
I always do my homework.
Okay.
But I'm gonna tell you what.
Okay.
It's gonna be some content on Monday.
Okay.
We're gonna have that discussion live on Monday at 8:00. Check back in, and then Tuesday, next week's episode of Loading Snacks Weekly, our good friend Jerry Gaylord, who worked storyboards for X-Men 97 and a bunch of other stuff, is going to be on the show hanging out with us as we kind of round out Black History Month and continue to showcase Black artists and creators and so forth. So by all means, if you got the time on Tuesday, or you like a little our voices as background music, feel free, you know what I mean, to check us out. So jokes. If I told you to tell the people what I needed them to hear, what would you say?
You be getting the old one, not the new one.
I mean, that's fine. Go for it.
Remember, y'all, just because you have a well thought out plan doesn't make it a good idea.
With that, we're out. Toodles and lose.
Loading snacks.